Hi, my name is Donna Curtin. Welcome to Breaking Weight Loss Barriers, where we break weight loss barriers and make weight loss dreams come true. Today is Weigh In Friday. So, before I tell you my weigh in results, I want to share with you the great news of my hemoglobin A1c results that encourage me to continue to struggle towards my goal weight, even though some weeks I lose weight and other weeks I gain weight. One thing that I do know is that once I master the diet and fasting routine, the weight loss is sure to happen. So, on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, I went to the doctor's office for severe stomach pain, which turned out to be caused by an inflamed gallbladder due to eating a high fat diet, of which I was instructed to eat a low fat diet. And so during my checkup, the nurse did a finger prick with some new kind of blood glucose level gadget that checks the hemoglobin A1c. So for those who don't know what a hemoglobin A1c is, a hemoglobin A1c is a blood test that measures your average blood sugar level for the past 3 to 4 months. And A1c tests can help diagnose prediabetes or diabetes. It can also tell you how well your diabetes plan is working. And so the result of my hemoglobin A1c blew my mind. I was like, wow, I can't believe it. And I thought all the hard work of trying to build a lifestyle of consuming a low carb, nutrient dense diet, struggling to frequently practice intermittent fasting, sometimes for hours or days, and struggling to do long term fasting for 3 to 21 days at least once a year to create a dietary discipline for myself, finally yield great improvement with my hemoglobin A1c results. I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 2007. It has always been recommended that I use metformin to reduce the blood glucose level. However, I chose to learn how to normalize my blood glucose level through diet, fasting, and healthy nutrition. The path that I chose has been filled with great difficulty because to achieve a normalized blood glucose level naturally meant that I will have to make serious lifestyle changes. My customary lifestyle had been that of a dietary practice which equates to poor nutrition because of the overconsumption of food and beverages that are high in salt, sugar, and fat, which was not nutrient dense, and a sedentary lifestyle with little or no exercise and chronic morbid obesity. As a result of poor nutrition, overconsumption of poor nutrition, a sedentary lifestyle, and chronic morbid obesity, I have been diagnosed with dietary related diseases: type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, inflamed gallbladder, fatty liver, and kidney stones without obstruction. So, as far back as I can remember, all my life, I have always struggled with trying to lose weight to get to a healthy weight, only to progress to a middle-aged woman who is morbidly obese with multiple dietary diseases. However, for the last 14 years, since being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it was not until 8 years ago that I came into the knowledge and have expanded in knowledge since then that all these dietary diseases, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, inflamed gallbladder, fatty liver, and kidney stones, can be reversed through proper diet and fasting means. So, the real journey to reverse type 2 diabetes started in 2013 after reading The Diabetic Solution by Dr. Richard Bernstein, where I got concrete information on how to reverse type 2 diabetes. Before reading that book, no doctor had ever told me that type 2 diabetes was reversible. Every doctor that I have had has always told me that type 2 diabetes cannot be cured and that it will only get worse. Medication was always recommended to possibly slow down the progression of, diabetic complications that may arise from the disease. However, though Dr. Bernstein's dietary guidelines are severely strict, I gave it a try. Around the time that I started Dr. Bernstein's diet, my blood glucose level was 7.1 milligrams per deciliter. 14 months later, my hemoglobin A1c rose to 9.7. Things were not looking good. I was failing at adhering to the diet. So I tried harder to follow Dr. Bernstein's diet, and about 2 months later, my hemoglobin A1c dropped to 7.4 milligrams per deciliter. Then one day, shortly after the A1c had dropped, I received a call from my doctor who spoke in an unusually soft tone, as if baffled and amazed at the same time, saying, "Your A1c came in lower than your previous A1c. How did you lower your A1c?" Mind you, he was at the time my primary care physician who told me that you can never reverse the hemoglobin A1c and that type 2 diabetes will only get worse. So I talked about Dr. Bernstein's low carb diet and he was amazed at the results. However, over the next 2 years, I struggled to conform to Dr. Bernstein's diet as a permanent lifestyle change, and I didn't do so well at adhering to the strict dietary guidelines. And so, as a result, my 2016 hemoglobin A1c rose to 9.1 milligrams per deciliter. And as 2 more years progressed, as I still struggled to yield to a low carb diet in 2018, my A1c went as high as 11.1 milligrams per deciliter. So my type 2 diabetes was getting worse, just as my primary care physician had said. So my question was, why was it getting worse? Was it because, as another one of my more recent primary care physicians once told me, that type 2 diabetes is hereditary and you will never overcome it? As I searched the National Institute of Health site looking for information that supported Dr. Bernstein's dietary practice to reverse type 2 diabetes, most information suggested diabetes medicine as the primary diabetic solution. Yet, I still chose to struggle to train myself to consume a low carb diet to reverse type 2 diabetes. And I only had Dr. Bernstein's diabetic solution book to guide me. Then, in the latter part of 2018, I came across Dr. Jason Fung's interview and lectures on the internet that supported the idea that type 2 diabetes is reversible through diet and fasting. And I read his book, The Complete Guide to Fasting, which recommends fasting and a low carb diet to reverse type 2 diabetes. And ever since reading that book, I continue to strive to live a lifestyle that includes a low carbohydrate dietary practice that is nutrient dense, along with following up with periods of intermittent fasting for hours or days. And since 2018, I have come across several doctors online that supports the idea that all dietary related diseases can be reversed if the disease has not gotten to the point of no return. For me, based upon my medical diagnosis, it appears that I still have a fighting chance to possibly reverse my dietary related diseases. That is why I will continue to struggle to permanently adhere to a combined dietary intake of low carbs, low sodium, and low fat, along with an intermittent fasting routine that may last for hours or days. Over all the years that I have been struggling to beat type 2 diabetes by way of diet and intermittent fasting, most of the time I thought that I had more bad days than good days of adhering to a low carb diet and fasting routine. But after getting the results of my hemoglobin A1c on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, the results made it clear that I had more good days of adherence to a low carb diet and fasting routine than I thought. Since my last hemoglobin A1c in 2018 of 11.1 milligrams per deciliter, the drop in my A1c showed me that all my dietary and fasting struggles up until present were worth it. On Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, my hemoglobin A1c dropped to 6.2 milligrams per deciliter. Now, after all the excitement that I had of lowering my hemoglobin A1c on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, from 11.1 milligrams per deciliter down to 6.2 milligrams per deciliter. On March 9th, 14 days later, I had to do some other blood tests and got the results the next day. So I got a call from the nurse practitioner who said, Miss Curtin, your hemoglobin A1c March 9th is 9.9 milligrams per deciliter. There seems to be a big discrepancy with the test results. I don't understand how that could have happened because I have your previous health uh, A1c results here in front of me. That I did on February 23rd that shows that your A1c is 6.2 milligrams per deciliter. Would you schedule to come into the lab for another hemoglobin A1c test to clear the discrepancy? Mind you, a hemoglobin A1c is a blood test that measures your average blood sugar level for the past 3 to 4 months. It can also tell you how well your diabetes plan is working. So within the next 3 to 4 months, I will get another hemoglobin A1c test. To do it before then does not make sense to me. And so I am satisfied with the reading that I got on February 23rd, 2021, which is 6.2 milligrams per deciliter. And from how I see it, regardless of the discrepancy that the nurse conveyed, the fact remains that I lowered my hemoglobin A1c through following a low-carb diet, along with doing intermittent fasting for hours and sometimes days over the last 2 years. And this confirmed to me that type 2 diabetes can be reversed and is not necessarily a disease that will only get worse. In fact, from my reading of a journal on the American Heart Association site, where fasting trials were done on about 1,610 subjects, the journal revealed that fasting can reverse dietary related diseases depending on a person's health status as an individual. Therefore, I am further encouraged to continue on the dietary path of reversing type 2 diabetes by way of a low carb diet and intermittent fasting routine. And so, based upon my overall medical diagnosis, currently for week 11, which begins today, I will continue to do a low carb, low sodium, and low fat diet to maintain controlled diabetes, to lower high blood pressure, and to ensure that I don't end up with an inflamed gallbladder again. With my proper dietary guidelines for my ailments, along with continued practice of an intermittent fasting routine, which may last for hours or days, and particularly after seeing my hemoglobin A1c drop from 11.1 milligrams per deciliter to 6.2 milligrams per deciliter, I am encouraged to continue the struggles towards full recovery of all my dietary related diseases through a low carb, low sodium, low fat diet and fasting routine, regardless of gaining 3.1 pounds during last week. Once the dietary and fasting routine is perfected, weight loss is bound to happen sooner or later while on the weight loss journey. And no matter how frustrating the weight loss journey can get at times with the fluctuation of weight, there will be good days and bad days, but the goal is to have more good days than bad days. And when the good days outweighs the bad days, the end results will be that you are achieving all the good that you desire and deserve. Now, if you are amazed at my results and want to pursue the low carb diet along with intermittent fasting, before starting a new dietary or fasting routine, consult with your doctor to ensure your own health and safety. Now, moving forward in week 11, which begins today, let's see what good we can achieve within a week. We are now at the end of this session. Thank you for watching and listening to this video. And if this program is inspirational to you, please subscribe for more inspirational videos. So, I will talk to you again on next Weigh-In Friday. And until then, remember, what we do today will pay off tomorrow. May we all achieve our weight loss dreams together. So be it.